What's good, everybody? Back with another Fair Shake review. And this time, we're going to be talking about the final album by Logic. This is the Ultra 85 / No Pressure album that is going to be Logic's final project, so he says. Based off interviews, it seems like, he's always going to continue to make music. We'll just see if he decides to release any more in the traditional format. But, respectable. He's wanting to focus on raising his son, his newborn son, and being, creating a happy family and, truly feeling no pressure from the industry. But yeah, this project is kind of a return to form for Logic. This is definitely kind of along the lines of Under Pressure, and I'd also say a bit of like Welcome to Forever, just a bit. A little bit more of the boom bap kind of beats, not really focused on having mainstream appeal. Not really trying to get a whole bunch of super catchy hooks, just kind of like really just focusing on trying to, rap about his feelings, being witty at times, and, just getting people to understand his mindset as he's going into retirement. No Pressure is the intro. He just starts going off. It's just your typical cool spitting. Get a little bit of braggadocio in there, and kind of starts off with the Orson Welles kind of theme that he has of like basically relating the Babel, Kai, and Thomas storyline being something kind of like one of the story broadcasts, like radio broadcast kind of method, and how it ties into the whole story he's kind of created throughout the albums with Thalia and the whole space station kind of thing, the traveling through with in the Aquarius 3 to go find paradise, the planet that they can re-inhabit. So it's just like it's they just have like a dash of that in here, and he kind of quickly wraps up that story, since this is his retirement album, and he knows people are wanting. He knows that his fans are kind of wanting that storyline to be neatly wrapped up. I don't think he did that, but he does try to give something to somewhat of a conclusion to that. But that's like later in the album. But it just kind of sets up how that storyline with this intro with Orson Welles kind of stating how it's kind of like the act of creating an audio story experience. It was pretty cool how that was a quick little nod to that. But then it goes right into kind of hit my line pretty well, and that kind of goes into Logic asking God, like, yo, what's going on? Why are all these things happening? I really need to talk to you and find out why in the world do you allow these things to happen? As many excuse me, COVID, just kidding, bad joke. But yeah, why these things are happening, and just kind of want an explanation of why things the way they are. Because of man's imperfection, eventually it'll be handled, but whatever. That's another time. It's for another time. But yeah, so Himline, pretty decent track. Then you get GP4 or Growing Pains 4. Um, uh, Kind of another throwback to the story, the series that he started back in the mixtapes that he also continued in through onto Under Pressure. So Growing Pains 4 is just kind of talking about where he is now, and how he's handling it, and then there's even another beat switch up on this one where, let me double check which one, because there's a couple of songs where he does the beat switch and it just kind of goes and takes the track in another direction. So I'm gonna double check which direction this one ended up going into. Logic. So this time the tangent kind of ends up going. I think I'm wrong. This isn't the one that goes into the other part. Please forgive me. But this was pretty cool because this is the one that they kind of make it go to. It's kind of like almost like Elevators, kind of beat. Like they kind of remake Elevators with it. So it was kind of cool. Really dug that. And then it goes into Celebration, the first track that I'm just like, I can kind of skip this one. But yeah, so this is the only track that really truly has a feature with Silas. It's kind of more of that up tempo boom bap kind of stuff, and it's just trying to be happy and talking about how great it is how great it was that he's had a bunch of success and that he can finally let the game go, and kind of hand it over to one of his artists on his label, and yeah, so yeah, pretty cool, but not one I'd necessarily return to. Then we get Open Mic, and it kind of starts off with just kind of him going off just with a lot of, which I believe this verse is similar to the one in OCD, I think, and then the second part does a spin-off of what he did on Under Pressure, one of the tracks off of there, which is kind of cool too. So nice little reference. But then it switches up to another track, like another kind of beat, and he's just kind of doing some really more cool punchlines and stuff that I really enjoyed. Because that part is Aquarius 3. Then get to Soul Food 2, which is another continuation off a song that he had on Under Pressure. So kind of a similar beat because they use the same sample but they switch it up, and he kind of really goes into kind of his storyline of like how things have been from his start to where he is now, and just kind of looking back on his career. But then it switches over to part 2 where he starts going into what I was talking about earlier, the kind of the quick summary / conclusion to the Aquarius storyline, the whole whole search for the paradise planet for humanity. And so he talks about Thomas and Kai's journey and how they were listening to Logic's discography throughout it and allowing it to help them get through the whole whole journey and everything. So it was kind of light ending to it, but in general, I like the way he flowed on it, so I was fine with it. Then we get kind of like an interlude type of joint that gets a little bit more of like the almost trap Bobby, just to throw in a spice, a mix up in there. And I actually kind of really liked it, cause dude was just he was flowing on it right. So yeah, Perfect was cool in the way they just keep on throwing in the Street Fighter Perfect sample throughout there. It was really nice. But yeah, it's just more braggadocio, man. Dig it. Just fun raps. I like fun raps. Fun raps are fun. That's why they're called fun raps. Alright, then we get Man I Is, which really kind of goes into all the people who've inspired him and shaped him to be who he is, and then also the experiences he went through as well that made him who he is. And I thought that was alright. Next we get into Dad Bod, where he really just kind of breaks down his life as it is now and how he's getting ready to, you know, really devote his whole life mainly to his family outside of his other endeavors, and how basically addressing kind of how, if he were to talk about how life was on the daily outside of like the touring kind of stuff, and then just kind of bragging about his accomplishments, that it would be really boring just talking about trying to go grocery shopping for his kids, for his kid, and also his fam, and getting stopped for autographs and stuff like that, while just trying to go through each aisle of the grocery store, trying to get what they need at home. So it wasn't that bad. I kind of dug it. But yeah. And then we switch over to Five Hooks. Five Hooks. Oh my goodness, it didn't go to the right thing. Five Hooks. Just more talking about what he's been able to accomplish going through everything. And how he's like, yeah, I've got to do everything that I needed to do. So, you know, what else is there to give? You know. Then you get Dark Place. Apparently Dark Place technically wasn't even really supposed to be for the album, but they decided to put it on here. And it just kind of talks about when he's in a dark place, you know, how he's dealt with his bouts of depression and anxiety, and how social media has played a part in it, how him, you know, being in arenas and yet still getting heavily criticized, how that affected him, and just how the industry has treated him, has like weighed on him mentally and all that. So yeah, very understandable, very relatable. Like, you can understand where he's coming from on it. Just sonically not one I'd want to return to. Then we get to Then we get to A to Z, which follows one of those typical kind of spiritual, miracle, lyrical kind of rap stuff, where you just kind of want one of those, I'm gonna do kind of a rap exercise kind of thing. I'm gonna try and go from A to Z with all my raps. I'm gonna try and find a way to throw in each letter all the way throughout the whole rap. So instead of just doing it the usual way, a lot of people try to do it. Instead of like having each word start with, you know, that letter that you're on, he just kind of tries to throw in the letter in there throughout the verse, like instead of being like destroy the destroy, deploy, and and then enough and but either is just kind of like evermore, and then like EKG HNIC. So then you get the H and the I in there because it's an HNIC, and then hit the J, and you know, it's a little bit more less like I'm gonna try and have each word start with this until I switch letters. It's just like I'm gonna try and slip in the letter in the words that I say. So and he does it pretty well. It's kind of fun to listen to. So yeah, and then it ends with having a super old demo that Logic, excuse me, that Logic made. Of him, I guess, probably, you know, shopping it around trying to get signed. And so it's on some super, like, I'm gonna try and rhyme as much as I can, like very Eminem influence kind of stuff. But yeah, it's very much on the same lines as, you know, the verse that came before it, just you know, a little bit more gratuitous with the rhyming, like multisyllabic rhymes, outside of like, I'm going to try and be clever to add these letters in. You know. Then you heard him say, and yeah, so this is kind of a little bit more motivational and like trying to be like, hey man, don't let people get you down, do what you gotta do, keep grinding and you'll get there. But I don't really like it. But then we get to Amen, which is a solid dedication to his fans, and I really enjoyed it. And then Obediently Yours is really just a speech from Orson Welles tying that back in again, and how scarily relevant that speech was, because what Orson was talking about was just how throughout the art, and even if it wasn't an art, you have to use the things that you have to help those who have not. And it's also very directly tied to racial inequality in America. So it's very interesting how that ties into, you know, this. I still feel it's a little strange insertion at the end of this album with, you know, what all was kind of talked about throughout the project. But, you know, since it's still all through Orson Welles, who opened the project, I see, you know, slightly how it all ties in. And then just talking about how, you know, artists themselves, people who artists and celebrities, when they become big and they basically become servants to those who are their patrons. So basically the artist then has to become obediently theirs or obediently yours, even though this is the last project. that he's gonna be releasing. So yeah, but yeah, the project was pretty good. It's just like it's a little bit more of like the Under Pressure and Logic. So you got a little bit of hit or miss. There's not necessarily a whole lot of stuff that makes you be like, oh yeah, I want to bump this and party to it. It's just kind of like, yo, this is the stuff that you play when you're vibing, when you're down to listen to the raps. There's nothing that's gonna super blow your mind, but it sounds good, and yeah. The main reason why I had to go ahead and give like a long drawn out review for this is because Logic is definitely somebody that I followed his career for a very, 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 very long time. I kind of got pulled in back when Young Sinatra first came out. Like Young Sinatra came out and I was like, yo, this dude is dope. And then like very shortly after listening to that, I was like, yo, let's see what else he's got. And I checked out Young Broke and Infamous, and then looked at like all the Just Another Day vlogs way back in the day, and then just kind of followed his career ever since, going into Young Sinatra Undeniable, Young Sinatra Welcome to Forever, onto Under Pressure, Incredible True Story. Like I followed it all the way up to here. Like to follow his career and see like all the different types of things that he's tried. He's really tried to vary things up with varying degrees of success. Like Supermarket is still to me the my least favorite project he's ever put out. And to me, like the quality of his albums have kind of gone down. But No Pressure is definitely a much better project than he's been doing. Now he's been saying that this, in his opinion, this is his best project because he surely felt no pressure and he just tried to put his all into it, and but without any thoughts of how the music industry will accept it. Just trying to do it for himself and the fans who have stuck it out with him, and I can kind of see how he really has done that. Do I think that it necessarily tops the quality of some of the stuff he's done in the past? No, but is it a better project than what he's put out of late? Yeah, I would definitely say yes. Is it better than Confessions of a Dangerous Mind? Yes, definitely found more in this enjoyable. Is it better than Young Sinatra 4? Yeah, I'd probably say it's better than Young Sinatra 4. Is it better than Bobby Tarantino 2? Maybe. See, now you're getting to more debatable territory about which one I think is better. But yeah. With everything with Logic, to me, has always been a little bit of a mixed bag. Usually he has a little bit higher success rate with some of his past stuff, but this one was pretty good. I did enjoy quite a bit of this. Like a lot of this I will return to. I might eventually have to cut things from my list. Some of them may get older to me as time goes on with repeated listens, but as of right now, since it is still fresh and new, a lot of them I would definitely return to. There's really only a couple that I'm just like, yeah, I know for sure I don't want to listen to that again. Like Dark Place, don't really want to listen to that again. Celebration, don't really want to listen to that again. Man I Is, that's a maybe. Hit My Line, that's a maybe. But for the most part, it's some pretty good tracks. Oh, Heard 'Em Say, not really what I want to go back to. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Tell me what you guys think of the project. It's definitely cool. to still see that Six and Logic were working together on production and everything, and to, you know, have No ID kind of curate a bit of the process, I feel was helpful. But yeah, that's it. Much love, peace.